I found out my marriage was ending because I needed to print a permission slip for my daughter. That's the stupid part that keeps replaying in my head. Not some dramatic midnight confession. Not lipstick on a collar. A school form. Our printer wouldn't connect, so I opened my wife's laptop because hers was already hooked up. We shared passwords. Shared calendars. Shared a mortgage, 2 kids, and 14 years of ordinary life. I wasn't snooping. I was irritated because I was late. Her email was open. I saw my name first. Then the subject line. I can't keep pretending. For about 3 seconds I honestly thought she was writing about me. Like maybe a surprise anniversary thing, some stupid sentimental letter. Then I read. I'm trying to keep things calm until I can leave. He still thinks we're working on the relationship. I remember physically stepping backward from the desk. My son was downstairs asking where his soccer socks were. My wife was in the kitchen making coffee. And suddenly the whole house felt like a movie set. Familiar but fake. Until that moment, I thought we were going through a rough patch. That was it. Marriage, kids, work, exhaustion. Normal damage. Nothing fatal. Apparently I was the only one living in that version of our life. Before all this, we were boring in the best possible way. We met when we were both broke, sharing cheap takeout and second-hand furniture. We built everything together. First apartment, first real jobs, 2 children, holidays at her parents' place, arguments about bills, repainting bedrooms, deciding whose turn it was to do school pickup. Normal marriage stuff. For years I thought ordinary meant safe. She used to reach for my hand in parking lots. She used to text me dumb things in the middle of the day. Buy milk. Guess what your son said? Miss you. That faded gradually. Not overnight. About a year ago she got quieter. She said she felt disconnected. Said we were becoming roommates. I didn't disagree. I was stressed, tired, distracted. My dad had just gotten sick, work was brutal, and most nights I was mentally somewhere else even when I was sitting next to her. She asked if we could try harder. And I did try, in the practical husband way. More dinners together. Weekend trips. Therapy. I thought effort meant progress. Now I wonder if by then she had already left me emotionally. There were signs. Looking back, there were so many signs. She started guarding her phone in a way that felt weirdly formal. Not panicked, just deliberate. Screen down. Taking calls outside. Smiling at messages and then immediately looking neutral when I walked into the room. I noticed it. I also explained it away. I didn't want to be the suspicious husband inventing ghosts. She started going out more too. Work drinks. A friend had a rough day. I need some air. Again, none of it sounded impossible. Adults have lives. Marriage doesn't mean constant surveillance. But there were tiny things. She bought new underwear. Started wearing perfume to work. Joined a gym after never caring about gyms. She laughed more at her phone than at me. One night I asked, "Is there someone else?" She looked genuinely hurt. "No." "Jesus. Why would you ask that?" I apologized. She cried. I ended up comforting her. That part destroys me now. I walked away feeling ashamed for doubting her. She walked away knowing I had already sensed it. And still I trusted her. The weirdest thing is that after I first got suspicious, she suggested counseling. That saved her, in a way. I thought, a woman having an affair wouldn't ask for therapy. That was my logic. So we sat in a quiet office once a week and talked about communication, emotional needs, parenting stress, intimacy, resentment. She cried there too. Said she still loved me but felt lonely. Said she wanted us to reconnect. I believed every word. I told the therapist I could be distant. That I shut down when overwhelmed. That I knew I hadn't been fully present since my father's health started declining. I was brutally honest. She was strategic. Now that I replay those sessions, I realize she never lied outright. She just edited reality. She never said, "I'm seeing someone." She said, "I'm confused." She said, "I don't know what I want." She said, "I'm trying." And I grabbed onto those words like they meant safety. Meanwhile, apparently, she was writing another man about timelines. Not feelings. Plans. That difference still keeps me awake. I read more than I should have. I know people will say I invaded her privacy. Maybe I did. But after that first sentence, I was already standing in the wreckage. I needed to know how bad it was. His name was Daniel. He worked with her. Different department. Married once, divorced now. I found months of messages. At first it was emotional. Complaints about stress. About feeling unseen. About how easy it was talking to him. Then it changed. "I miss your hands. I hate going home and pretending." And then the line that made my stomach drop so hard I thought I might throw up. "I'm waiting until after the holidays. The kids deserve one normal Christmas." Then I'm telling him. Him. That was me. I became him. There were practical conversations too. Apartments. School districts. Money. How she thought I'd react. Whether I'd make things ugly. I don't remember breathing. My hands were shaking so hard I accidentally closed the laptop. Then I just stood there listening to my wife humming in the kitchen. I had never felt more alone in my own house. I confronted her badly. I wish I could say I was calm and dignified. I wasn't. I walked into the kitchen holding the laptop and asked, "Who the hell is Daniel?" She went white. Not confused. Not offended. Just instantly white. For maybe 5 seconds neither of us said anything. Then she whispered, "You read my emails?" That was her first sentence. Not denial. Not apology. I said, "You're planning to leave me." She started crying immediately. Real crying too, which somehow made me angrier. "It's not what you think." I actually laughed. A hard, ugly laugh. "I know his name. I know about Christmas. I know about the apartment." She sat down like her legs gave out. I remember saying, "Were you ever going to tell me? Or were you going to keep having me sit in therapy while you planned your exit?" She kept repeating, "I didn't know how. I didn't know how." And all I could think was that apparently she knew exactly how. She wrote it all down. The next hour was chaos. She said it just happened. She said it started as friendship. She said she didn't mean for it to become real. That word, real, nearly broke me. I asked if they had slept together. She nodded. I still remember the sound I made. Not a yell. Not crying. Something smaller. Like air leaving something punctured. I asked how long? 6 months. 6 months of dinners with our kids. 6 months of therapy. 6 months of kissing me goodbye in the morning. I asked if she loved him. She covered her face and said, "I don't know." That hurt more than if she had said yes. Because "I don't know" meant she was willing to destroy us without even certainty. She came out of the kitchen with red eyes and asked our son about homework. I stood there wondering how a human being could switch tones that fast. That night I slept in the guest room. Actually, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling until morning and kept replaying every memory from the last year like evidence. Every late meeting. Every "I'm tired." Every moment I thought she was drifting because life was hard. Around 3 in the morning I got physically sick in the bathroom. Not dramatic movie crying. Just nausea. Shaking. Cold sweat. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. I kept thinking, I have been living inside a lie and didn't even know it. That realization changes something permanent in your brain. The next morning she knocked on the guest room door. She said she wanted to work on us. That sentence almost made me angry enough to scream. I said, "You're planning to leave me." I read it. She said she was confused when she wrote those messages. Said she had been overwhelmed. said seeing my reaction made her realize how much she still cared. I asked if she had ended it with him. Silence. Then, not yet. I honestly thought my heart stopped for a second. So you're asking me to fight for a marriage while you're still talking to him? More crying. She said she needed time. Time. That word became poison. I told her I wasn't participating in some emotional audition while another man waited in the wings. She said I was making it black and white. I said betrayal usually is. For the first time in our marriage, I saw her not as my wife, but as someone capable of managing my emotions while protecting her own options. That realization scared me almost more than the affair itself. Then families got involved, which made everything uglier. She told her sister. I told my brother. Within 2 days people knew enough to have opinions but not enough to understand what living inside it felt like. Her mother called me and said marriages go through difficult seasons. I said, "Did difficult seasons usually involve planning an apartment with another man?" She went quiet. My brother wanted me to throw her out immediately. My father, who was sick and tired and somehow still clearer than all of us, just said, "Don't make permanent decisions in fresh pain." That stuck with me. For about 2 weeks we lived in a horrible suspended state. We acted normal for the kids. We discussed groceries. We coordinated pickups. At night we had brutal conversations that circled the same questions. Did she love him? Did she want to stay? Was I only the stable option? She never gave a clean answer. And uncertainty is its own kind of cruelty. It kept me emotionally bleeding without ever letting the wound close. I became someone I didn't like. I checked phone records. I watched her face when messages came in. I memorized her body language. I counted minutes when she was late. I hated that version of myself. I had never been jealous by nature. Suddenly I was suspicious of everything. She said my distrust was pushing her away. I remember staring at her and thinking, "You lit the fire and now you're blaming me for the smoke." That period messed with my head more than the discovery itself. I stopped eating normally. Lost weight. Started waking up at 4 every morning with panic already sitting in my chest. At work I couldn't focus. I'd read the same email 6 times and absorb none of it. My daughter asked me one night why I looked sad all the time. I told her I was tired. That nearly broke me. Because kids know. They may not know facts, but they feel weather. And our house had become emotional thunder. Nobody said it out loud. Everybody lived inside it. About a month later I got the truth I should have demanded sooner. I asked one simple question. "Are you still seeing him?" She said yes. No tears that time. Just yes. Apparently they had tried to stop. Apparently they kept talking. Apparently feelings had deepened. She said she didn't mean to hurt me. I said, "Then why keep doing the thing that hurts me?" She had no answer. That night something inside me finally shifted. Not healing. Not peace. Just clarity. I realized I had been fighting for the version of us that existed in my memory, while she was already emotionally living somewhere else. I told her I couldn't keep doing this. She cried harder than I did. Which felt almost absurd. I was the one being left, but suddenly I was also the one comforting the room by staying calm. I slept in the guest room again. But that night felt different. For the first time, I stopped waiting for her to choose me. I started thinking about how to survive not being chosen. We separated 3 months later. Not explosively. Almost worse, administratively. Lawyers. Schedules. Accounts. School calendars. Who gets what furniture? Which nights the kids stay where? The death of a marriage is shockingly full of paperwork. Telling the kids was the hardest thing I've ever done. We sat on the couch together. My wife cried. My son asked if it was because of something he did. That sentence still lives in me like shrapnel. My daughter didn't cry at first. She just got very quiet. Later that night I heard her crying alone in her room. I don't think I will ever forgive that sound. Friends disappeared too. People get uncomfortable around betrayal. They want clean villains and clean victims. Real life is messy. Some stayed close. Some drifted. Some quietly took sides. I stopped caring after a while. I was spending every ounce of energy just trying to remain a stable father, while my private life had collapsed underneath me. She moved out. Not immediately with him, but eventually I learned they were together openly. That hurt in a strangely different way. The secrecy had at least allowed me denial. Reality didn't. The first time my kids mentioned Mom's friend Daniel, I had to go sit in my car for 10 minutes because I couldn't breathe properly. I'm functioning now. Mostly. I make dinners. Pay bills. Go to work. Help with homework. Laugh sometimes and mean it. But trust feels permanently altered. I don't hear "I'm working on us" the same way anymore. I hear strategy. Delay. Emotional management. That probably isn't fair. But betrayal rewires language. I also carry guilt. I know I wasn't a perfect husband. I was distracted. Grieving. Absent in ways I didn't fully understand at the time. But I keep coming back to this: being imperfect is not the same as being deceived. I would have fought honestly. I just never got honest. It's been long enough now that people assume I'm over it. I'm not. I'm better. That's different. Sometimes I still think about that stupid permission slip. How one normal weekday split my life into before and after. I think about the version of me walking toward that laptop, annoyed, distracted, ordinary. He had no idea he was about to lose the world he thought he lived in. What stays with me most isn't even the affair. It's the parallel reality. Eating dinner with someone who has already mentally left. Holding hands in therapy while they're planning another future. Being told, "We're working on this," while reading, "He still thinks we are." That sentence changed me. If anyone reading this is living with that strange quiet feeling that something isn't right, don't ignore it because you're afraid of looking paranoid. I ignored mine because I loved her. And because I loved her, I helped protect the lie that broke me. I still don't know which part hurts more.